Ron Frost is an accomplished teacher, speaker, author, and we're very pleased that he could be with us today. Just let me brag on him for 60 seconds. He is the founder of Positive Momentum Coaching. And in that practice, he has coached, trained, and consulted 350 business owners and sales teams all around this country. So he comes with a wealth of experience and knowledge and skills. He's the current president of the Toastmasters Club of Southwest Florida, so we know he's a great speaker. And he's written a book called Getting Unstuck, 9 Keys to Creating More Prosperity, Fulfillment, and Joy in Your Life. And that is for sale at the book table. So I expect that to be sold out this afternoon because it's a wonderful book, and Ron has poured a lot of his knowledge and experience and expertise into that. Ron is currently actively involved in the Center for Spiritual Living in Cape Coral. He's a licensed spiritual practitioner student there, so he also is very steeped in this philosophy. So all of that is to say that we are so thrilled and honored and pleased that he could be here today. So please welcome Ron Frost.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, everyone. And thanks to Reverend Karen for actually thinking of me, when she's away to be able to come up here and present. This is a subject of being true to yourself, which is dear to me because it's really basically kind of like the reason why I wrote my book. And I also just want to thank Bob and Fani for always putting together wonderful music, especially the songs. I always trust that the right music is always coming forth, and it always does. And the lyrics, soul shine better than sunshine, better than moonshine. I got a few friends that might argue that point. A different type of moonshine. But the truth is, it is our birthright to shine. To, not to take the phrase from the Army, to be all that we can be. To really embrace the self. To know that when we are doing this, we're not taking away anything from anybody else. When we shine, we're actually becoming a bigger inspiration in the world. True? So also, happy 2020. New year, a new decade. Is everybody sick of hearing Happy New Year? How many people have set New Year's resolutions? Oh, one hand goes up. 2 hands go up. That's all? Nobody is like, we're not like, intentions. Intentions perhaps is a better word. Intention is better, yes. Yeah. Interesting fact, though, through the University of Scranton, they found out several years ago that only about 45% of the American population set resolutions. The other 55 probably just figured they'd give up. Or maybe they're so drunk they forgot the next morning that they set a resolution. Only 8% of that 45% actually achieve when they followed up on actually are achieving what they set out to achieve. Isn't that amazing? And what I found was we've become somewhat of a goal-seeking culture. It's all about achievement. It's all about the next goal. You have to have 10,000 goals in different directions. But however, when we embrace the self and we come from purpose, passion, the thing that excites us, and we align with purpose, then whether we set a goal or not, we become a movement in the universe, and that universe supports us to be able to facilitate the greatest gift that we have to share, as well as the support around us to get there. And truly, for us to be that inspiration for others as well. So the 3 things that I found that were fundamental to helping me find my purpose when I coach people, to helping them find their truth, to be true to themselves, was number 1, to speak your truth, which sometimes is difficult. Number 2, to understand that you are unique. We're kind of the same, but... But to understand you're unique, you're special, you're different, and it's okay. It's important that we are. And the last is to listen to the inner voice. The life that we live sometimes pulls us in 10,000 directions, so many distractions, that we don't quiet ourselves and listen to the voice of truth. And it's that voice of truth that probably is the bigger one, because that'll tell you you're unique, and that'll tell you you need to speak your truth. For me, speaking my truth was so difficult. 1987, I had the biggest challenge of my life. How many people have changed their career, students today, kids today, they're like, my daughter gets a job, the next day she quits. Many people change their majors over time. And so when I grew up, my dad was a mechanical engineer. He was an aerospace engineer. My older brother, was in engineering. I followed that path. Because I figured that was in my DNA. That was in my genetics, and I had to do that. And as I graduated, I did very well in school. My dad was very proud of me. And I got my first job in Connecticut at a company as an engineer. And I hated it. Now here's my dad. He's like introducing me to all his friends. He's like super proud. I was like front page news. My son Ron is an engineer. He's got this job for life called, engineer. And I didn't like cubicles, fluorescent lights, and just the staleness of that atmosphere, going to longboarding meetings. I grew up on farms, and to me, the outdoors, the adventure, the life was just not that, and I couldn't see myself staying there. How many people have had to speak their truth to a parent or to somebody close to you, and you're just afraid that even though you're breaking the news to them, you just don't know how it's going to be addressed. And the truth is, parents that love us, people that love us, they support us. Regardless whether it's bad news in the moment, it's good news for you, it's good news for them, it's good news for the world. Because if we speak our truth, that allows us to be more, to share more, and to inspire others. I went into sales. I decided to take the technology and go out there into the world and show people it. Went into consulting. We started our own business. I would have met Fani if it wasn't for this. I wouldn't be speaking. And, everything changes when you choose to speak your truth, step up, and also embrace your uniqueness. There is nobody, I know we've heard this before, there is nobody in the history of the world exactly like you, with your gifts, your talents, your values, the who you are. In this moment in time, there will never be another you. And we all have something special within inside of us. And many of us have suppressed that. Many of us has had this feeling like, I'm not worthy, I can't do this. It's possible to them, not possible to me. I love the verse in the Course in Miracles. If you only knew the power, the presence that walked beside you, you would fear no more. If you only knew that infinite power, that infinite presence that walks beside you, that loves you, that says yes to you, you would fear no more. One of the biggest keys, and I go into this in the book, is what we call emotional intelligence. We hear this big word, emotional intelligence. Happiness. Our happiness, our joy, or lack thereof, is telling us something, isn't it? Have you ever had something where you're like, I don't know why, but I just don't feel good. I just don't feel right. This isn't me. That happened to Fani. That when we owned our business, it wasn't her, and of course singing was. And when she found her voice, the whole world supported her. And this is true about everything that we do. Everything that we do. The world will support us. But the emotional intelligence behind it is we got to listen to that happiness, that little barometer that's inside of us that kind of tells us, where am I? And we need to sometimes, one of the things I go in my book is like, we need to strip away the other things. We go into where we were when we were a child, when we played, when we were imagining or pretending. If you look at the word pretending, pre meaning before, tend meaning to tend a flock of sheep or a tendency to be a certain way, we were pre-being at that moment in our life until we started getting confused. Life is like a lost and found. And we get on this journey, and quite often we look out into the world and we're thinking like, okay, I got to measure up to whatever success is. I got to be what my high school guidance counselor said. I took this profile and I've got to be like a dentist or whatever the thing is that my profile told me. And we start to fix ourselves into this box. And actually mine was a dentist. So I've never had the inspiration there. But that's what my profile came out. It was one of my choices. So we can live by what we think the world wants of us, or we can go by what that inner desire is. And because we are unique, sometimes one of the best practices to find ourselves is to go into contemplation. To ask Spirit, show me what I need to know. Show me what I need to know right now. Thank you. I always put a thank you at the end. It's as if it's already answered. Tell me what I need to know right now. Dear Spirit, how can I best shine my light in this moment? How can I best serve humanity? Open the doors and the gateway of life to allow me to be the open vessel of the divine, to share my greatest gift to myself, to my family, to humanity. Bless you. And to ask those questions, to go into contemplation, to take a journal, and not to worry whether it comes right away or if it comes later. But when we engage with Spirit and we ask those questions, those are powerful questions. What? Bless you. But it's like, show me what I need to know. Thank you. And it comes. It does come. It's part of it. It's part of that awakening process where if you speak to the divine will be there for you, because it always is. If you knew the power that walked beside you, you would fear no more. You would go from control, which is normally to trust. Anytime you're finding yourself in control, if you recognize it, that's the first thing is awareness. I recognize that I'm trying to control this, whether it's in somebody else or whether it's in myself. Go to trust. Know that it's always working out for me. It's always going to unfold in the highest and best. So, you are unique. Embrace your uniqueness. And even if you don't necessarily feel you have the support around you, know that you do. Know that you do. A good friend of mine, and actually he was the person on Facebook that said he wanted to do this Facebook Live. And unfortunately, I was worried about the internet and being able to, coordinate Facebook Live. So it's my one friend, Gary, up in Schenectady, New York. I'm speaking to the camera. Hi, Gary. And this guy's an inspiration. He shared with me a story. His son, Mark, is a musician. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with the band Dirty Honey, the new rock band. They sound a lot like Aerosmith. They were the only band in history and this was recent, to go to number 1 in the Billboard charts, being unsigned. Most other bands were signed to get there. They did it by enthusiasm, by social media, by crowd attracting, by the way the universe supported them. And they have a huge following. And they're going to be coming to Cape Coral, Florida. So I'm going to go see them. But here's an individual father that could have said, no, get a regular job. No, it's not going to work out. Bands, everybody tries the band thing. It doesn't work. And here it is, a person that actually, and took his band too. The band's extremely popular. So Google Dirty Honey. You'll love, if you love Aerosmith, you will love this person's voice, Mark, as well as you'll love the sound of the band. And if you're in Cape Coral, Florida, come check them out. The truth is, we can shine the light for somebody else as well. A lot of us kind of contemplate and say, well, wait a second, I'm not like Fonnie, or I'm not like Bob, or I'm not like this person, Mark, with Dirty Honey. I'm not that creative artist. We all are. And it's a lot of times it's the way we show up to life. Whatever we're doing, whether it's accounting or a teacher or a nurse, a salesperson, whatever it is, you're all an artist. You all hold that paintbrush of life and the color palette, the color of kindness that you can spread into the world, the color of compassion, the color of listening, deep listening when somebody's going through pain. You can be there for them. You have the color of inspiration. So you are the artist within other people's lives. And you have the ability to mix them all up and create the biggest masterpiece ever. All colors put together is truly the color of love, and that's what we represent. So, and know that this is not a competitive universe. Whatever it is, this is not a competitive universe. We're taught, we're raised like, this is, if you get your thing, you're going to take it away from somebody else. That's not true. If you listen to the birds early in the morning, there's one bird that starts to sing its song and the whole forest joins in. That one bird is the inspiration. Now, all the birds, they've probably got different vocals, pitch, sound, different songs. But the one bird singing the song doesn't take the song away from any other bird. It inspires the bird. Just like the flower itself doesn't look at other flowers and say, well, I'm not as beautiful as that flower. The flower also doesn't say no to the sun or the rain. I'm not worthy of the sun or the rain. The flower is just a flower, and it blossoms and it shares its beauty. Share your beauty. Share your song. There's really only one you. And if you truly knew the power that walks beside you, the infinite presence that walks beside you, that says yes, that holds you, that is there to support your dream, that is there to allow your greatness, you would have no fear. You would have no doubts. Affirmations, I believe, are one of the biggest tools. We go that and even deeper when we go into Science of Mind prayer and the 5 steps. But even just to sit with affirmations, one of the affirmations that I love is, I am the light that shines within me. Let's say that together. I am the light that shines within me. And the next one is, I am the light that shines within the world. I am the light that shines within the world. How does that feel? We grew up with all these thoughts that weren't necessarily serving us, whether they came from somebody else or our own inner dialogue. They say we have something from 40 to 60,000 thoughts per day, and most of those thoughts are not necessarily serving us. But by being intentional with our thought process, by using contemplation, by using affirmations, you can reprogram and you can repower your mind. And that's our job. Our job, we came into this world with free choice, and we have the power to choose how we wish to think. We have the power to choose over our thoughts. The last one is to listen to the voice within and to trust that voice, because that voice is always on. It's always there, and it's always telling us that we can do it. A good friend of mine named John, who's also a fellow Toastmaster, and I listened to his story. He works in a hospital. He's not a doctor, but he worked around a lot of people that were sick, a lot of people that had various forms of cancer. And he was troubled because he wasn't seeing the medical system necessarily healing the way he felt it could. And it bothered him, because this is a person with compassion. Well, lo and behold, he finds himself sick. His diagnosis was stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. There's no stage 5, and it had already spread throughout his body. His inner voice said there's got to be a better way. He became a human guinea pig and went on the internet and started visiting holistic doctors, started doing prayer and meditation, started using everything that he could. He found this whole other world that was outside of his world. Despite what his family was supporting, despite what his workplace was supporting, and he healed himself. It's been over 5 years. The inner voice came back up, and the inner voice also told him, what if this is not my problem? What if this is my purpose? Sometimes the obstacles in our life are really there to allow us to heal, to break through, and then to be able to be that leader in other people's lives, to transform the world. So always remember to speak your truth. Embrace yourself, your uniqueness, your difference. Recognize what that is and be the brave soul that's willing to shine your light. Listen to the inner voice and know the truth is that if you only knew the power that walked beside you, you would have no fear. Let's take this into prayer, shall we? Know that behind this scenery of life, behind all the, what we might call the hectic day, is one thing, one principle, one essence. Whatever we call it, whether we call it Spirit, Divine Source, Creator, or God, it is the one presence that creates all things, and it's in and through all things. It is the power of love. It is the presence that walks beside. And as I realize this divine truth is within me, it is my beingness, because if it's within all things, it did not leave me out of that equation. So I know that I am equally embraced by this divine. Knowing this truth, and I know this truth for every single person within this center, that this is a divine presence that supports our greatest visions, our deepest dreams, the gifts, and our ability to share them with the world. That there is a continuous yes that is speaking inside of us with divine clarity of knowing exactly what to do and how to share it. I give thanks for this truth, for knowing that the divine presence that's within all that is within this center, all that is within life, is always there to show up, to stand up, and to shine the light into humanity. And I release this, and together we say, and so it is. Namaste.